I sat alone on my bed in the upstairs bedroom that I shared with my older brother. It was mostly dark, but there was some ambient light coming from the upstairs bathroom. I didn't turn on the lights because, for some reason, I felt safer in the dark. Being one of only 3 African-American families in an all-white Midwestern town, my father demanded excellence from my brother, sister, and me. It was report card day, and all that would be acceptable to my father was straight A's. On that day, my 4th grade teacher had given me a D. Given my understanding of my father's expectation, I knew an attitude adjustment was in my very near future. Soon enough, I heard the gravel crunch under the tires of my father's big white Cadillac as he pulled into the drive. I heard him enter the house through the back kitchen door. The muffled sound of the conversation that I knew he was having with my mother. A few minutes later, I could hear his shiny wingtip shoes on the hardwood floors as he made his way to the family room where he found my brother and sister. It was when I heard him exuberantly congratulate my siblings on their straight A report cards that fear set in, and I began to tremble. He's in the staircase now, on his way to me. With every footfall on every step, my fear ratchets up and up and up. About midway through, I heard the jangle of his belt as he removed it from his trousers. Now that trembling was an involuntary full body shaking. I must have lost time then, because the very next thing I can remember was feeling the presence of my father towering over me with my near-failing report card in one hand and his belt in the other. I said feeling his presence because I was too terrified to look at him. I kept my head down, where all I could see was those damn wingtip shoes. He was saying something, but to be honest, I was too frightened. I couldn't process the words. It was like there was some weird delayed cognition thing going on. But then through the fog of my fear, I heard the frantic words, "Christopher, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong, son?" I don't know. Maybe he thought I was having a seizure. I was shaking so much. Nonetheless, by now, my fear had triggered my emotionally driven adolescent stuttering problem, and I struggled to answer him. I'm scared. Scared of what, son? What are you scared of? You. Scared of you. Deafening silence filled the room for what seemed like minutes, but could have only been seconds. And then I heard in almost a pleading voice, "Chris, look at me, son." With all the courage and the strength I could muster, I slowly raised my head, and I looked him in the face for the very first time that night. I didn't see anger. I didn't see a monster of a man that was ready to whoop my ass. What I saw was hurt. I saw pain. I saw disappointment. I even saw fear itself, but not the kind of fear that I was experiencing, the kind of fear that comes from when you're desperately worried about someone that you love dearly. But then he recovered. Right? And said, "Now, Christopher, I cannot begin to tell you how deeply disappointed I am in your lack of effort that produced such a poor report card. Because you and I both know that you are so much more talented than this, don't we?" Reflectively, as tears filled my eyes, I shook my head, yes. But then he said, "But son, you also must know that Daddy loves you more than anything in this world. I always have and I always will." Again, I reflectively shook my head, yes, but now tears were streaming down my chubby cheeks. At this, my father crouched down took his big right hand and put it on my left shoulder. He looked me straight into the eyes and he said, "Christopher, I'm so happy and thankful and proud that you are my son. And no bad report card or anything else for that matter will ever change that, I promise." I was full on sobbing at this point, sobbing at the realization that, yeah, I'd let myself down, but worse, I let him down. I let down my hero. And that realization hurt me more than any pain from any whipping he could have put on me. I think my father knew exactly what he was doing. I think he understood that an attitude adjustment produced from love would last much longer and be far more powerful than one produced by his belt. My father even stayed with me and let me cry for like a whole minute, right? Which was so uncharacteristic of his usual uber masculine, big boys don't cry, right? And then he stood, he gently and lovingly caressed my head, and he left the room. I don't know, back on that night in 1960 whatever, I was too young to realize what just happened. I couldn't appreciate the psychological jujitsu that occurred. I couldn't fully grasp the magnitude of the moment, that moment when my father used love instead of fear to motivate me. I was too young. I didn't get it then, but I get it now. Do you? I swear from that moment of that night to this moment of this night, I've constantly worked my ass off to please that man, constantly seeking his approval, doing whatever it takes to make my now 91-year-old hero proud of me. The moral of a story, if you still need one: love. It's the greater motivator. Thank you for listening.